And hello, welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me. I am Karen, the Stitching Owl, and I'm coming to you on, I think it's May 18th of 2025. I'm here in London, Ontario, Canada, where we are having a May 2-4 weekend. And I know for those of you not in Canada, you're thinking, how can you have a May 2-4 weekend so far in advance? We do the weekend just before what would have been Queen Victoria's birthday. And so that's why it's the Victoria Day weekend. And it is a weekend where fireworks are totally legal to put off. I do back on to a field that is between two K-8 schools. So indeed, each evening there are teens back there setting off fireworks. I think officially it's supposed to be Monday night, but the fun can be had. As long as they're doing it safely, all is good. So far, the pup has not been upset. So, if this is your first time, I hope you'll stick around and see what I have to say, and hopefully you'll like it and want to come back. If you are returning, thank you so much. I count myself lucky to have so many friends from all over the world. Let's talk about the weather. As you know, I am doing the specialty chart. So, specialty stitches temperature chart by Stitchin Mommy on Flosstube. Sarah is very skilled at producing something new each year for us to stitch on. And I am particularly having fun learning my specialty stitches. Now, this is the weekend where in Ontario we go, it is safe to put away all snow shovels and we can start planting outdoors. Many people will have begun their seedlings inside. I am not that organized. I'm still trying to get my head around being retired enough to actually do some gardening. So we'll see how that goes, and if the chipmunks and squirrels actually allow me to have any of the veggies that I grow. That mixed with the bunnies. I love the animals, so I will never be upset. Well, maybe I was a bit last year when 0 tomatoes were edible because the chipmunks took them all. I saw them. So, we have had over the last, it's been 12 days since I saw you. Our temperature has ranged from 10 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius, taking the temperature at 12 noon. By mid-afternoon, yes, it did get warmer, and certainly at the beginning of the day, it was a bit cooler. We had a few days in a row that were absolutely exquisite for being outdoor walking, and my husband and I just sort of go out any time of the day that it seems to be the perfect temperature. So if I show you what's happening on my temperature chart, so January, February, March, April, and here is May. So we're making Rhodes hearts here. It actually looks very solid. They are long stitches that happen to overlap in a way that makes a little heart. And you can see that these 3 pinks followed by an orange are when we were at regularly 22 to 25 degrees. So I am stitching this on a 32 count even weave. Yes, it is technically vintage country mocha, but I'm using the back side. This is a printed fabric, so that's what the real side's supposed to look like, but I didn't want it to compete with the many colors that I was going to have on the front side. So I'm just going to hold up close what my little hearts look like. And with this, for the most part, I'm taking this as a vehicle for learning these stitches. And if there's one or two that aren't quite right, I just don't get worried about it. And believe it or not, over here there are two neutral. It looked at a distance like I had missed some stitches, but no, they are actually there. So you can certainly see this particular pattern on Amy of Renewing Stitches and Sheila of Mrs. Stitches. Now there are many different ways of celebrating the temperatures in your region, and I am enjoying watching Adelaide in Australia with her seasons being the exact opposite to mine. So I hope, I'm sure you're watching Adelaide Stitches. If not, have a little peek at hers. I just wanted to say that life has happened again. My Sense of Smile program is temporarily on hold because we have a possible postal strike this week. And I know people who are not from this area are thinking, didn't you just go through that? Yes, but just before Christmas, the government mandated the postal workers back to work even though there was no contract. So 6 months out, they have the right to be negotiating for those elements that caused them to strike at their first go. So they are at the negotiating table, so I am very, very hopeful. But I'm also realistic, and it's possible there will be an interruption. So until I know for sure, there will be no more mailing. Now, I am trying to work my way around that, and for one specific thing that we will be chatting about in a moment. So it's May, and there's many ways to celebrate Mayness, whether you're doing mermaids or some sort of mania where you're starting a whole bunch of new projects. There's Carolyn Manning May, and I am doing Mudpuppy May. Now, Mudpuppy Stitchery, Kenzie has a wonderful Flosstube where she shows you excellent stitching and knitting and gives us a bit of information about her love of the animal world, and I always learn something new. Now, she is a skilled designer, and so I am stitching a number of her patterns. Last video, you saw me finish Barred Owl at Stitch North, and right now I have Bourkes Parakeets going, and this is what it looks like so far. Last time you only had really a tail here. It was enough of a shape to know that it would be a bird. Today, yes, Kim, I've got a head on my bird here and on my next bird. There's still some more wing here, but I wanted to get in a little bit of the greenery for dynamic contrast, and there will be lovely pink flowers to come over here. Now, I am stitching on a Roxy Floss Co. 40 count Verdal, and I'm finding it a very lovely fabric. I do happen to like Verdal to stitch on. It is, of course, an even weave, which makes it more Karen friendly than 40 count linen. So this is one of my Mudpuppy designs. My other one is the Tufted Titmouse. I'm just going to pause for a moment so I can pop up a picture of what it looks like at the end. Now, my Tufted Titmouse, I'm doing on a 36 count even weave, and it's a hand-dyed by Rolanda example, and it is not a named example. If you noticed, I have forgotten my 40 count name, but I will definitely provide it to Kenzie when I send on the stitch. So my Tufted Titmouse, I do have the bird in. I'm missing one leg. It's coming up here. I have to admit that I was rather surprised to discover that his legs were not going to be yellow or brown. They are blue, but I trust Kenzie knows what she's doing with her coloration. I certainly love the shading of the blues in his feathers, and I got enough down here in so that you can see the beautiful contrast that the pinks will be in the tree. So let me see. So on this one, I have 2,000 stitches done. So I started this with Kim about a week and a half ago, and that makes it 45.96%. On this one, I'm at 1,870, which is 46.5%. So both of them are very close to the halfway point. And I'm quite excited about continuing on with them. I'm giving my 2 Mudpuppies daily time, and we'll be adding in another one this week. She released a new bird, and I'm very excited about it. I think I'll put up a picture here. Isn't it beautiful? So, is there anything else there? I think that's it for right now. I do hope you will check out Mudpuppy Stitchery for both patterns and Flosstube. I'm going to give a shout out now for Coffee Girl X Stitch. Janaea has one video and is from the Maritimes of Canada. And I have to say, she shows a very lovely set of FFOs and whips on her first video. I think she should be very pleased with how smooth it went. Now, Whip Go. So I have my Whip Go board looking like this. So at this point, I'm up to date because I have stitched on the 1st May. But after this, I have a purchase to make so I can start my second one. So number 19 was It's So Emma for me. And I'm continuing to do the smalls that originally I made into, oh good grief, magneted needle minders to give out at Stitch North. Now, I'm actually going to make these into the lollipops, and my next video is going to be a couple days late due to family functions. So I'm hoping that I will get the next It's So Emma done so that I can do a video on how I put together my lollipop. And I've also had requests for the intensive beading video to actually get finished soon too. So we'll see what I can do between appointments for different family members. So this one looks amazingly like it is Canada Day. It's actually from the It's So Emma Autumn Days Ornaments, and this is called Autumn Latte. So that's just meant to be a maple leaf in general, but it turned out that they wanted it red, and I just was like, well, that's perfect for right before Canada Day. So there isn't that many stitches in this. The whole circle is 28 by 28, and they would have had me also stitch red around the outside. I used Candy Apple Red by Roxy Flossco, a 32 count linen, as my background, and am not stitching the back. So this is done with one strand of sulky 12 weight thread. So there's good coverage for one strand when it's a 12 weight. So that was a SAF for start and finish. My other pull for this month is Snowflower Diaries. So I will be looking on her website. There are a bunch of ornaments that I'm very interested in purchasing, and I do believe there's 10% off today, so I'm going to have a peek. So I do definitely need to do some fully finishing. This past 12 days, I did fully finish 1, 2, 3 items, but I did them for a friend and gave them back. And in an unwise owl move, I didn't photograph any of them. I also did another project bag for another friend and gave it to her without photographing that either. So were there FFOs? Yes. Do you get to see them? No. I need to make sure that I take pictures more often, I believe. Did I have any other finishes? Well, one. So I'd say 6 to 8 weeks ago, I did an online stitch together with Michael and Melanie of Uplift Stitches. And Melanie and I started an Emma Congdon. Now, we each did different ones, and she's well ahead of me. She finished and fully finished hers, but I did manage to finish No Rain, No Flowers. I really enjoyed doing this, so much more than I thought, because I'm not normally a stitch words person. But this worked very well, so I've hunted up more Emma Congdon. Now, I'm going to say that this particular project also is appropriate for Mental Health May. For me, there is true appreciation for the days that are wonderful because of the days that are not quite as wonderful, which I believe No Rain, No Flowers indicates. And also, just for me personally, there are moments where the rain actually, for me personally, comes in the form of tears, where my husband has learned it doesn't mean he needs to fix anything. Is that not wonderful? He knows that I just need the release of the tears for the rain in order for the smiles to come back. And I am very blessed that he's learned to be there for me without trying to fix anything. And I do feel it contributes to my mental health staying in good repair. I'd like to do another shout out. This time it is for Nadine Gauthier. Might be Nadine, but I think it was Nadine, who's Puffin Works. And she's from Nova Scotia, Canada. So Nadine is a multi-crafter, including crochet and rug hooking, which is fascinating. I'm hoping she's going to show some of her other crafting. Like many of us, she has had interruptions in her cross-stitching, but she is back with enthusiasm, and I'm looking forward to more of her videos. Okay, and that goes over there. This is the case of Make the Piles work. So now we're going on to works in progress. Now, the last time we were together, I referred to a halfway to Halloween stitch along that Jason X Stitch is leading. It was starting around May 6th, but I've got to say it's not too late to jump in. We've got lots of days before Halloween to join in the fun. So I had picked out my pattern, and I will show the mock-up here with the caveat that it's not a great mock-up. So the reason it's not a great mock-up is that within my pattern keeper, when you have white stitches, it just goes blank. So you can't really see the full impact of, hang on, let me get this particularly right, Boo Spook Haunt by Hello from Liz Mathews. So I wanted to get a ghost done, and wow, there's more stitches in that ghost than I thought. And no, this is not B5200. This is Winterite White 3865, and I'm very pleased with how this is looking. Now, this is a piece of random 20 count Ada that is just, I picked it up, I'm not even sure where I picked it up, I have to be honest. I just found it in my 20 count drawer. I have drawers of different sized counts. So I thought this would be wonderfully moody for a Halloween stitch, and that my white would show up. So one strand of DMC, I am using called for lettering. And again, if I just move it in close, that winter white is coming out beautifully. Now I will be filling in some gray here, and there's a few patterns here to fill in, but that's right up my alley. I am having great fun with this pattern. Thank you to Kim for this gift. Now, my Boo Spook Haunt, I have 940 stitches for 18.27%. The stitch count for the full picture is 155 wide by 68 high. So, unlike me, I have given more fabric than typical, but that happened to be the size of the swatch I had. And being that it is, it's been serged all the way around, so I must have just bought it as a one-of type thing. Now, there are 12 colors of DMC in this in totality. For my magazine monthly challenge, the word for the acrostic is mahogany, so of course I use the M for Liz Mathews because that works beautifully. And the theme for this month is antique. So, in my opinion, ghosts are not young, they're old, and therefore can be as old as antiques, and that's what I'm counting this on. Now, I'm going to just take a small aside right now. I was having problems with my Facebook app in that I could see other people's posts. I could do posting sometimes, but there was, every time I went to events, it said that they were not retrievable. So I decided I was going to reinstall Facebook, and had an interesting experience in that Facebook came back and said that I was not a desirable poster and that I had no recourse. They were permanently taking me off. So I am going to continue to support the Magazine Monthly Challenge because I have fun doing it. I love Carolyn Zook and a Robin of, something about birds. Bird's Eye Stitchery. So I really do like them. And so Katie of Katie Jeremiah's mom is wonderful about, at the beginning of each month, showing what all of the games are that she's playing. So I will be able to get the information off of her video. She does make her videos weekly, and last week she had a special series that created an overall whip parade. So I hope you'll give her a peek as well. And I just want to thank Katie for making the charts that are so clear that I can just freeze your video and write down the information that I need. But clearly, I'm not going to be part of Whip Warriors next year, because I'm not going to be able to do that type of thing. I'm just deleting Facebook, and at the present time I will stay active on Instagram, even though it is May to still. I do know I'm not the only one who's had this experience, and no one else has been able to figure out the exact reason that they were turned down either. So that's just my little story about Facebook. Now, my next piece is Patchwork Calendar by Owl Forest Embroidery, and it is a block for each month of the year. And I'm quite enjoying this. Each block I'm doing in a different variegated floss, and I'm not just sticking to one kind of floss. Now, I have gone out of order, and I'm doing January right now. So you can see this is multicolored peacocks in a deep red. It's not Christmas red, and deep green. So I really thought this is really effective for a post-Christmas. And this is where I am right now. So I'm all the way around, and I have all of this bottom part done. And you can see that I have started up into the first peacock. Now I'm doing this 1/1 on a 25 count even weave that has slight gray mottling in it, just enough texture for interest, but nothing that can end up causing issues with the variegation. Because if the background is too busy and you variegate your floss, sometimes the overall effect isn't quite as effective because there's just too much for the eye to grab hold of. Now I want to again thank the Hugo Stitcher, Samantha, for gifting me this pattern. And yes, when I announced that I was going to give away this book, Nicole grabbed it. Now I think I'm going to make working copies. This is a paper booklet. There is no cardstock in it. So I'm noticing that as I carry it to and from my mother's, this is one of the few things that I do with a printed pattern. The patterns are huge. So it's very easy to use the printed pattern. So when I'm waiting for her to have dentistry done or things like that, it's really easy to pull this out and stitch away. So I think though, so I don't wear out the book for Nicole, I'm going to start just doing the scan and carrying that and safely preserving this book so that it can go back to the city it started in, Winnipeg. Okay, now I think I need to put on my glasses. So the shout out now is for Taffberry Lane. Antonia has stitched for 3 years, starting with a Nicole Spore stitch along. Her favorite designers are Heart and Hand, Primrose Cottage, and Hands On Design. She has 1 video in cross stitching, but many in the paper crafting industry. So she's certainly a seasoned presenter, and you could tell that she was very comfortable in front of the camera. So Antonia, I'm glad that you've included cross stitch in what you are doing for your crafting moments. Now, last week, Karen D and Laura and Katie and I had our first hashtag Gnome Along stitched together online. And many of us just started a new gnome, although Katie kept going with Jardin Privé gnomes. The rest of us are working on soda stitch gnomes. And I find these, so if I'm having a day where counting is tricky, there isn't that many color changes, and if I'm online stitching, again, there's not that many color changes. So I can actually get quite a few stitches in a short time. So this is Watermelon Gnome. And I'm looking at this, can you see? So there is a nose there. There are pink hands in here that are not showing up on the camera. Wow. So those are sunglasses. And all I have left to do is the hat with the pom-pom up here, and then to finish the hat over here. And he's done. There is absolutely no backstitching on this guy. So when I'm finished this, I'm going to measure him out, because I'm looking at this going, I've got a lot of different gnomes, and the next ATC swap that Laura is leading, the theme is air and water. And I guess one could stretch a point and say, well, watermelon is water, couldn't you? So I just have to see whether he really is going to end up being 2.5 by 3.5 to see whether he would work for that. But I have other water-oriented gnomes that could also work. It is interesting that gnomes, you either love them or you really don't care at all. But when I was giving out ornaments at Stitch North, the gnome was one of the first ones to be taken. So I'm going to keep stitching them because they make me happy. Now, with my gnome, I'm stitching on 20 count parchment Aida, 1 strand of DMC. I got 1,212 stitches in, which I believe is about 80%. My challenge is that the gnomes, I got a multi-pack of like 40 gnomes, and it's one big chart within Pattern Keeper. So it's got like 24,000 stitches overall, but it doesn't tell us the individual stitch count. So I certainly know how many stitches I've got, but I don't know what the percentage is for sure, but I'd say I'm about 80% there. And in my magazine monthly and acrostic, the G in mahogany is for gnome. I know the G is silent, but it's still there after all. And next I have Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. And Flossabilities is again both a Flosstuber as well as a designer on Etsy. I'm stitching this with Mary's Stitching Corner, Stitchy Sally, and Flossie Sews and Grows. Again, I'm stitching on, there's a fair amount of 20 count Aida. This one's charcoal. I wanted a dark background here. And again, I've got far more material than I need, but better too much than too little. So in the past week, I got more of the ground in and another tree. So I want to bring this one out more often over the next few weeks, because the first day of summer, we are starting Shack on the Shore. And I know that there have been a number of people that have been making that purchase other than Laura and Mary. I actually think I might have gotten Lisa of Forest City Stitching interested in trying this one too. So, and I believe there was a deal that if you bought both the cabin and the shack at the same time, there was a bit of a price reduction for the combo. So Flossabilities is doing everything they can to make this accessible. The patterns work very easily in Pattern Keeper. So right here I have 2,876 stitches, which is 32%, almost 1/3 done. And for Magazine Monthly Acrostic, this is N for night because I chose to do it on charcoal Aida. I have to say, the trees, I just love doing the trees. They are not difficult to do, but their shapes are unique and lovely. And shout out for thick threads. Thick without a K, THIC threads. Now Eli has 2 videos so far. Eli is fascinated by history along the digital side of things, and he provides a lot of fascinating information along with the gorgeous stitching. So I hope you'll give him a peek and see whether his style of stitching fits your interests. Now, Year in the Woods. Cottage Garden Sampling a couple years ago had 12 animals come out as part of the Year in the Woods. They even had special fabrics dyed so that people could do the entire series. At that time, I think in the proper year, I finished the swans. And then the next year, I finished the fox. This year, I am stitching with Alyssa Jones. And I have started the raccoon and the bear. And I've made good headway. Now, this is one of those things where you think, I've got the animal done, so now it shouldn't take too long to do all the rest of it. And then you discover all the rest of it's still a couple thousand stitches and is going to be longer than you think. I am stitching these, so I'm just going to put up the mock-ups. Or pictures, I guess, of the charts. This is the bear. You can see that I got finished on the house and a lot more of the bulrushes in. Now there is more to go over here, so even though this looks like I'm well on the way, there is still quite a few stitches to go. So my bear, let me see, has 7,487 stitches and is 92.57%. I have zeroed out 5 colors of the 8 that it takes. And in the magazine monthly Y of Mahogany, I put that on. I'm going to do the Y in Mahogany when I turn this around and say the yellow in the windows of the cabin. So this is the raccoon. You will see that there are more flowers here. We have the final set of paws, and this is my kind of house. I was able to do the entire house in a single sitting. I know a lot of people really love the big houses that will take like 6 weeks to do or longer. I prefer a one-sitting cabin. So my raccoon, so these are 36 count even weave hand dyed by Rolanda, 1 strand of DMC. Raccoon is 6,050 stitches for 82.89%, and I have zeroed out 4 of the 10 colors. So I guess I'm using raccoon twice. Once for the Y in Mahogany for yellow, and I guess both the bear and the raccoon I'm using for A because they both breathe the air. Ultimately, my plan is to make a cross-stitch book. Now, not a scrapbook. I'm actually going to make a sewn book out of these. But the good news is Cottage Garden Samplings is adding animals. And they have just released a picture of the wolf for the first one that will be available in June. So, yes, more animals. And I want to say thank you to Linda, who has procured the beaver and the ferret for me. And Linda, hold off there is no sense in sending it in the next week, even a couple weeks. We do need to wait to June so that we know that the mail will actually get to me when we know what happens with the mail strike. Next one is Butterfly and Flowers. So I'm doing the Purple Emperor, and it's a Dureen Jones chart. Now, lots of people are doing this with me. Karen D, who is going to be the Twitchy Stitcher. She's looking forward to starting Flosstubes in the summer. I know, no pressure, Karen, but I just announced you. Amy of Renewing Stitches. Laura of By the Shore. I think Mary's doing this as well, but I've just lost track of how many people are doing this butterfly. Oh, Rachel Q Stitches is doing this as well. Now, what I wanted to do this time was to verify my choice. So this is actually a square pattern. Which, where do I have it? It's 140 by 140. And I'm doing this on 20 count, so that would make it 7 inches by 7 inches. And the actual pattern is a square, but this stained glass window shows a circle. So some people are doing a square, some people are doing a circle, and I am going to mix the two together and make an arc. So my top, you can see I've started now. I haven't perfected this yet. Once I figure out exactly how many black stitches makes this look a little bit more curved, I will match this over here and it will come down and we'll have a square bottom. Now you can see that I did end up adding to the sides along here as well as here. So with my full coverage butterfly, I have 4,805 stitches, which it says is 24.5%. And it says that because I have not blacked out the corners until I am sure of what it is that I'm doing. And then once I've got that and I know, then I will blank out those stitches and I'll have a better idea of how far I am. Now in the magazine monthly, the O for mahogany will be for orange because the corners, 2 of them I'm taking off, but the 2 down here do have a lot of orange in it and are very beautiful. I am here looking at starting some leaves which add the green. So the color does come to life, particularly when you add more than the purple to make the purple just look so lush. So again, this is just a marvelous full coverage piece for those people who might fear something this size but want to give it a try. So Dureen Jones. Just keep an eye on Instagram because she announces sales on her Etsy shop quite often. And also 2x2 Stitch Art has some beautiful small full coverages that might be of interest to you as well. Now, Rainbow Dragon, you have discovered that I am stitching Rainbow Dragon. I was going to take it over from somebody else's start and then discovered that it wasn't working for my hands, so I started from the beginning. On Saturdays, I'm stitching with my friends at Stitch It Central, and one of the ladies there had a grandson pick this pattern out. And I'm just going to show it here. It is an Artecy AI pattern. Because it's AI, yes, you're right, there's a fair amount of color changes here. Now I'm using 25 count pewter, and I feel that I have gotten it quite nicely going, over 1,000 stitches since we were last together. Let me see. I have 4,411 stitches for 16.58%. Now, this is a leftover prompt from Laura's I Spy Challenge. And it said something that goes with your favorite school subject. And I know everybody goes music was your favorite subject, and certainly it was, but another one was math. Within music, I am a theorician, and theory and math are the same part of the brain. I took every math credit available in high school and even had my math teacher sing at my wedding. So the reason this reminds me of that is I sure have to count carefully. So you can see I have put in my guidelines for every 10 going up and down to ensure that I stay on track. So far I haven't felt the need to put in my horizontal gridding, but it might come to that. So I'm looking forward to getting up a bit and having the dragon face. This is the chest armor there. His face is going to show more yellows and oranges and will be very effective. And by the shore is always the last whip that I show. It's artwork by Kaplan Dorr, and the art was charted by Stitches So Beautiful. Now I'm continuing to do daily time on my full coverage and really enjoying it. And last time we were together, I said that I had hoped to work on the dogs in the canoe. And well, both of the dogs are in. Let's see if I can hold this. There we go. It's gotten much bigger. So there's a dog here with the tail, a dog here with the tail, and they are nose to nose. Now, I admit that I have found it a little hard to pick out all of the details of those dogs, but I think we do get the fun playfulness of the dogs, and I was able to work the water in that was up here. It is solidly in, and I got all of this solidly in. I started on the lilac bush over here so that you could see we were having some purple over here. When you look at the way this is up here, we are going to, when I finish this part here, I will go over and start working here, trees and the big cabin. So now that big cabin will not be a one night stitch. I am doing this on a 20 count Aida again. I have gridded it myself with polyester thread, and I pull it out before I stitch over top. I don't want it to get caught because I'm using bright, well, red and whatever random threads that my mother gives me, I'm using for these guidelines. And if you stitch through the thread, it is really hard to take it out. And yes, I know that there are some products available that you can actually just leave them in and pull them at the end. But since I'm not going to sew with polyester thread, I might as well use them for guidelines. So is that not just coming along beautifully? Now let's see. I was excited because I passed 90%. No, not 90%, 90,000. Wouldn't it be nice if I was at 90%? No. So I am at 92,636 stitches, which is 56.15%. The final picture will be 440 stitches by 375, so not quite square. And because of my problems with Facebook, I won't be part of those challenges anymore, but when I reach 100,000, I will definitely show a picture of what that is on Instagram. So I just continue to be amazed by Stitches So Beautiful, and am truly looking forward to doing another one of their patterns. Now you're probably noticing that there are a couple of whips that were not included today. If I didn't get at least 300 stitches in, I did not bring it down for my video. And what I will do is I will just put them in the top of the rotation so you will see them next time. One other leftover prompt stitching by the shore I spy was something sharp. And I'm laughingly going to say, well, Laura, I don't stitch with tapestry needles ever when I'm cross stitching. It doesn't matter what my count is. I always use a sharp and pointy needle. So therefore, every one of my projects is something that will work for your something sharp. There are a couple of letters from Mahogany that have not been talked about today. There's still time left in May for me to put in time on my Heron at Dawn so that I can tell you about those the next time we're together. Shout out for Ladybug Jen _stitches, who has one video on Flosstube. Jen is not new to stitching. She has over 100 whips. Yes, she does. And her personal goal right now is to get all of them to 25%. So we are going to have a fun year ahead of us watching her build up her projects. She does have already many lovely finishes that she has showing. And I have to say, I fell in love with the Biscornu, and I hope you're going to go and give Jen a peek, because very, very lovely stitching. My moment for music today, I have gone to a favorite composer, and it's a miniature today. So today is a Frédéric Chopin. He composed Preludes Opus 28, where he put a small piece, some of them as short as 3 lines, some of them a few pages long. There was variance, but he did one in each of the keys, going through what we call the circle of fifths, where we go from 0 sharps and flats all the way to 7. And then he did both the major and the minor side. Now, today the prelude that I'm going to play is the Prelude in C minor, and it is an excellent piece for helping students to learn how to sink into chords while your hand is fairly stretched, so you get good tone and have control of which note sounds. The other challenge that it teaches is how you can go quite slowly and still have a sense of phrasing. So I hope you enjoy Prelude in C minor. I just want to say at this point that I am announcing the next Canada Chats as being Sunday, May the 25th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you are wanting to be part of Canada Chats and have not received an announcing email from me about this date, please email me and I will add you to the list. And then the day of the chat, I send out the invitation 15 to 20 minutes ahead of 2 o'clock, and you can join in anytime from when you get the link. All I need is your email address in order for this to work. No app is required. As usual, I will encourage you to have something to stitch on and a pencil and piece of paper handy, because yes, you guessed it, there will be another game to play that we've not done before. Now, I'm also going to say that the next one after that is going to be June the 23rd. So I've flipped them away from first weekends. Sometimes people for July 1st here in Canada will take the weekend before as their holiday, if July 1st doesn't land on like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I didn't want to involve June the 30th sort of thing. Oh, there's the pup talking at the front. So June 23rd is the one for June. And I also want to say that I have a marvelous offer. My local needlework shop, which you hear me speak of often, Stitch It Central, has offered to sponsor like the next 6 months of these and provide a gift certificate for the prizes. And I just want to thank the Stitch It Central for doing this for me, because it wasn't something that I requested. I was just happening to tell them about how excited I was with this group, and they were like, oh, well, we want to be part of this and help you out. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. And here we are at the end of another video. Again, I want to say thank you to those of you who have felt comfortable enough to press the like button and to subscribe. I truly value the friendship that I'm developing with each of you, and hope that we have the opportunity to either meet in person or online at some point in the future. So in May, Mental Health May, I hope you're able to use your stitching to find the peace and solace that you need. Every person in this world is experiencing challenges in some way. And some of them we wear on the outside of our body for everyone to see. And others are not so visible, but are every bit as disabling. So I do hope that with fabric, floss, and needle in hand, that as you make something beautiful, you can make yourself happy. If you need a friend, please reach out to me, because I would be happy to stitch with you and get to know you better. Bye-bye for now.